The Legend of Zelda franchise has a long and storied history, dating back all the way to 1986, and including a lot of different games, but whether you became a fan with games like Ocarina of Time, or all the way up to Breath of the Wild, either way, being a fan of The Legend of Zelda, you're bound to get a lot of good games. I don't think I've ever met anyone that said the original is their favorite Legend of Zelda game, so I decided to hop back into the game for a little bit and kind of dig deep into whether or not this game is worth going back to in 2025 when you have so many other games accessible to you. Sorry, I can't help myself. This intro is just so freaking iconic, man. Like, golly, you try to name a better, more iconic intro. I mean, you probably could name some solid ones. Also, the typos, which I think they fixed in this version. Yeah, it looks like they did. All the typos were good, because I know in the original game, Ganon was spelled G-A-N-N-O-N, almost like canon. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. The iconic old man giving the iconic line, and now we have our sword. So, fun fact, I have beat this game before. One other time, actually really old, my third ever Let's Play on the channel, which I haven't been doing Let's Plays lately. Buy something, will you? Sorry, we has no money. But the original Zelda, like, obviously visually the game is dated, like it's 8-bit. Like I said the same thing in my Mario video. It's old. It's the original Nintendo. You know, it's not like it's not exactly like we're out here with PS5 graphics or anything. And the fun thing is there is actually a ton you can do before you ever even step foot in the first dungeon, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just gonna go right into the dungeon just for the fun of it. I'm really just kind of playing around, but we'll see. Maybe I can beat it with 3 hearts. You never know. The dungeon theme also is like super cool. I always loved as a kid. I had like this little like trap remix type thing on my phone. And see, the difficult thing here, this is when I was doing like the original Mario. I guess it's kind of the same way, but different in the sense that it's harder to compare. With Zelda, they have went in different directions with the 2D versus the 3D. Now there are some of the same elements. Like I'm one of those people, and if you've heard of them, Zelda fans probably have, is that the original Zelda is probably most comparable of all games to Breath of the Wild, like one of the newest games, like just came out in 2017. Yeah, like 30 years later, because this game came out in 87, I believe, or 86. I think 87 was Zelda 2, a year later. These guys mostly pretty easy. I do love how when you're at full health and full power, you can use a little sword beam so you don't even have to get close to people. That's my favorite thing to do. I like to just stay at full health. Really, in any game, you should try to stay at full health. A lot of times, these guys will drop keys in certain rooms. Sometimes they don't drop anything. Sometimes they drop fairies, or they can drop the little timers that will actually freeze people. A lot of times in rooms, you can push blocks like this. Like, usually a corner block, you can push a certain direction, and it'll open a secret path, or, you know, something of the sort. Here we just have bats and some of these little Stalfos guys. I think that's what they're supposed to be. Oh gosh, they're getting close to me. They're scaring me with all that moving they're doing. We got some blorbs. That's not actually what they're called, but I just like to call them blorbs. So that's what I was talking about. You move that block over. That's like the majority of the puzzles in this game. Then I believe in every dungeon there is an old man that gives like a secret, whether it's telling you where the boss is, telling you need to try to bomb something, or maybe a way that you defeat like the boss or a certain enemy. You know, pretty easy. You got to remember that this was before, you know, back in the day when they didn't have guides, is what I should say. So I believe this is the eagle. Each of the dungeons is named after an animal or creature, I think. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's the heart. There's the heart. We need that. There we go. Now we can just wreck these guys. These guys are just kind of minding their own business, but they're throwing boomerangs, and that's bothering us. And wow, of all things, we didn't even get to take their boomerangs, bro. You gotta be careful with those traps. You kind of have to bait them in. Oh, there we go. Bait them in. Push this leftmost down. And careful, because there are bats in here. But like I was saying, visually, the game is very different. I mean, the audio, like, obviously the soundtrack is full of bangers. Honestly, really not a whole lot of different ones. When I say full of bangers, it's got the overworld theme, you know, the intro theme, then the dungeon theme. So, can you just go in the middle there? Okay. So really, actually, it's not like a huge full booming soundtrack, but it does what it's supposed to. Obviously, they expand on it in later games, but this does its job. This does what it's supposed to, and it's still a lot of fun. It's still really cool, and it definitely just makes the game, man. Okay, there we get a boomerang finally. I hate this room because I absolutely hate these dudes. I hate them because their hands, they're just disembodied hands. Here we go, about to cook. Oh, okay. This guy's actually really easy. I thought when I was a kid playing it, this is why I could never get past these bosses, or even like the first time or two, or the first time I beat it. Ooh, I was like, this is tough, man, I don't know what to do. And it's because I didn't have the sword beams. If you don't have the sword beams, then that fight is a lot harder. You kind of have to just go up and wail on them. Also, ta-da, did it with 3 hearts. That's actually it's the first dungeon for a reason. But like I was saying, the interesting thing is that the game doesn't give you manuals. It doesn't give you a guide. I like how I pretty much handled that whole entire dungeon. I think I only got hit maybe once, and then I get out of the dungeon and immediately get hit. No, I would say in a lot of times I get more damage dealt to me in the overworld than I do in the freaking dungeon. The overworld is where I get cooked a lot of times. Especially these dudes. The things that just pop up randomly and they're like already on top of you, like, what are you gonna do? They're already on top of you. Especially in the, oh gosh, I'm about to die. Not about to, I am going to die. Like I said, I handle the dungeon perfectly and then get destroyed out of it. Fart 1. I am now 1 fart. Before I was no farts, now I'm 1 fart. Hey, you know what they say, 1 fart can be deadlier than 1,000 blades. Just kidding, I don't really know anyone that says that. I made that up on the spot. But there's kind of, I like the map is still, for this game, is still huge. It's still massive, you know, for the time. Like, it was easy to get lost in. The fact that you don't really have a map per se. You just kind of have to like memorize where things are. This is back when it was, you know, in the 2D games where you navigated by screens. You know, you wouldn't be like, oh, over in this area, and this. I guess you could if you were really familiar with the game, but you'd be like, oh, you go left 3 screens, go west a screen, north 2 screens, and then east 3. You know, something like that. I needed a guide to beat this game. I desperately needed a guide to beat it. I'm not good at wandering into things, figuring things out. I would have absolutely buy something. We do have enough for bombs. I guess I can buy a bomb. 1 bomb. Oh no, I bought 4. Okay. I thought it just gave you 1 bomb. And you know, whenever you see something on its own, like, it's always suspicious. Like, if you see this is suspicious. You know, is it not? So you can pause and go up to this menu. It shows you how many pieces of the Triforce you have. You can select a new item. I don't remember if this does anything, but you would think it would. I'm sure there's gonna be, oh hey fairy, oh my gosh, I could have just went up 1 screen to freaking get all my health back. But yeah, I don't think I could have beat this game if I was a kid when it came out. I wasn't that smart as a kid. I was, but I played the 3D games. I was just used to that. Maybe I would have been different, like adapting to it and being, if I was used to this. But I grew up on the 3D games in that aspect. Like, I could figure those puzzles out. You know, that's why my favorite game is Ocarina of Time. Like, that's, you sit me down with Ocarina of Time and I can play that for hours. Really, I did actually play it for hours. I played it all in one sitting for 13 hours. So, yeah, that proves my point. In all honesty, I'm kind of just running around while I talk. Consider this, like, just regular gameplay footage in the background. I guess I should quit lollygagging and start talking about the things that have changed and the things that have stayed the same. Things that have stayed the same. I know we were kind of beginning to talk about it. Staying the same and changing. Well, obviously the soundtrack has changed. You know, we have a lot more songs. I just got bodied twice in a row, 3 times in a row. And so there's more to pick from. There's different sounds. You know, they're used for different things in the games. Visually, the games have gotten really good. I love the different usage of, like, the graphics. They went, ooh, we found another dungeon. Oh, and I activated some bad guys by running into them. Alright, let's try not to bump into those guys. And I don't know what number dungeon, oh, this is the 3rd dungeon, so I skipped the 2nd one. Okay, so this is a little difficult. It's because I have 2 hearts. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, these guys, oh, I got a key. These guys are easy. Give me some. Oh gosh. I'm kind of eliminating them. Very slowly though. Very slowly. Oh gosh. See, when they spread out, that's what you have to watch out for, is they don't really move fast on their own, but it's that split. Okay, I did all that and got absolutely nothing for it. And there's no puzzle in here either. If I remember correctly, I don't know if there's a Dodongo, and I don't remember if it's level 2 or, oh gosh, that was a mistake. I don't remember if it was level 2 or level 3, but it's pretty early on. And they're not giving me any hearts, bro. Are you kidding me? You know, I bet it's not even worth it. I know. I was gonna not even do it, but I know they're not gonna give me hearts or anything, but I need to clear them out just so they don't give me trouble in the future. Oh, okay, I got a key. It's probably a good thing I did. Sorry you guys gotta hear that constant beeping. Can't even start my sentence, man. I was gonna say, this is where I die. I think it's easier to compare when you're talking 2D games versus 3D games. 2D games, there's obviously way more similarities. You know, the camera. Whoa, I just wrecked him. The camera, the way the dungeons are set up. You know, having to go and come back, like, you know, for key, find a key in one room, come back to it later. You know, defeat the enemies in the room, clear it out. Puzzles in the room, pushing stuff. You know, kind of being curious. The game rewards curiosity. That's what I love about Zelda, you know. Everything's not just written on the wall. Like, I'm glad this game is not just surface level, because it set the precedent for other games. Because I don't think the game series would be around. Like, what good is a puzzle if everybody can figure it out? Like, oh gosh, I didn't know I was going to get wrecked by those things. No hearts for a guy? No hearts for a fella? A man can't get some hearts? I think there are still elements of classic Zelda in a... Oh, I can't even do anything there. In a classic, like a 3D Zelda game, but you have to hunt for them a little bit more. Let me wait till they're together. There we go. Yeah, I guess I should stop playing and just talk. I'll put some more footage in the background while I'm chatting. But the beauty of a Zelda game is the puzzles, is the rewarding curiosity. It's the fact that you never truly know everything. The only way to learn everything is, you know, if you're not including guides, is to just practice and repetition. And, you know, figuring out how the games work, dying a couple times and going back. This was like, I feel like this was Dark Souls way early on before, and I know they were probably harder games even back then in 1986, but to me this was like the start of that. You know, this was the one where it requires you to run around the map 50 times, die a bunch of stupid times, and then eventually you stumble upon something, you're like, whoa, I need to remember that. Even if you just died, you come back to that and you remember that. The thing is, I don't really ever hear anybody going back and saying, I guess unless you were like, this was your first Zelda game, and, you know, you grew up on it maybe, and maybe you just never got around to playing other Zeldas, then maybe this is your favorite. But I have genuinely never met anybody in my life that has ever said that the original Zelda is their favorite Zelda game. And I wish I did, and maybe that's going to get harder as time passes and people get older. Because again, I feel like it's going to be those people that were in their, like, you know, middle school, junior high years, or adults that, you know, in 86. So, and that was, you know, gosh, almost 40 years? That's crazy that next year is going to be 40 years. That's wild. The series has come a long way. Like I said, Breath of the Wild really embodies the original spirit of Legend of Zelda. And even though that's a 3D game, it still does that because of the fact that it's just kind of dropping you off with not a lot of info. You know, the whole old man thing at the beginning. You meet the old man, he's kind of your guide for a little bit. And then after that, like, you just go wherever you want. You explore whatever you want. You're not told to go a certain way or go see a certain person, you know, watch a certain cutscene. You just go a certain way, and you can do anything you're told. Like, obviously the main idea, the goal is to defeat Ganon. But how you do that, how soon you do that, how you get there, what tools you have at your disposal, everything like that, that's completely up to you. Whatever you find, whatever you set out to do is your goal. Now, I do think in this game you do have to do everything. I think you have to beat all of the dungeons to actually, you know, obviously you have to get all the Triforce pieces, But in Breath of the Wild, you don't have to do any of that. You could go straight there and kill him. It would be really funny and actually pretty cool if you could do that in this game, but I'm sure people would find a way to cheese it or do something, I'm not sure. I think it's pretty incredible the links that the game has come in the franchise. I mean, now we have the Echoes of Wisdom playing as Zelda. It's kind of crazy. I think this game obviously started the whole Legend of Zelda, and then you play as this dude, everyone just assumes, oh, well, if the game's called Legend of Zelda, this is Zelda. You know, Super Mario Bros., that's Mario. It's, you know, it's not like people are like, oh, well, yeah, Mario's the princess, Peach is the plumber. People don't do that. Moral of the story, game's come a long way. It's changed in a lot of ways. It stayed the same in others, but it's also changed. And I'm excited to see where the game goes. I would like to meet someone that says that their favorite game is the original Zelda. I've even met people, wildly enough, you know, and on internet, the YouTube, I met people whose favorite game is Zelda 2, and that one is far less likable than the original. So yeah, that's Legend of Zelda for the NES. Definitely a simple game, but yet at the same time, it had a lot going for it, and still felt complex. The biggest takeaway is that this game was a little more difficult just because it doesn't hold your hand the whole way and tell you what to do every step of the way. That being said, unlike what I said about the original Super Mario Bros. Last week, I do feel like this Legend of Zelda game is worth going back. If you're a fan of the series, I feel like you should play it at least once just to experience it, try to beat it if you can. Using a guide is not that hard. But if you're a casual fan that just really likes a game or two in the series, and you wouldn't really say you're a fan of the whole series, then I don't think it's worth it. You're just going to frustrate yourself, and it's probably not going to be very similar to any other games. Although, like I said earlier, I do believe that this game shares a lot of similarities with Breath of the Wild. But at the end of the day, it's not for everyone, and I understand that. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like, comment down below what you think of the original Legend of Zelda, and maybe consider subscribing. If you'd like to go a step further and you want to support me and the channel, then I'd greatly appreciate it, and the link to my Patreon is going to be in the description down below. If you become a patron of the channel, then you can get access to the community Discord channel where we talk about awesome games, you can get access to an exclusive behind the scenes video every month, and you can get your name in the credits of my videos. But like I mentioned a little bit ago, don't forget to check out my video about the original Super Mario Bros. And whether or not that game is worth it in 2025. Thank you to everyone that watched, and make sure to have a good day.